In our super noisy, always-on world, most of us are chasing the next upgrade, more stuff, and a crazier schedule, all because we think that's where happiness is. But what if there's a different way, a quieter, kind of countercultural approach? Today, we're going to explore a whole philosophy that's built not on adding more, but on taking things away.
Okay, so let's just dive right in with the big question here. Our whole culture tells us to pile it on, right? Achieve more, do more, get more, and then you'll find peace. But this whole way of thinking, which is rooted in some really cool Japanese mindfulness traditions, suggests the real path is, well, in the complete opposite direction. What if the key to feeling calm is actually subtraction?
First things first, we've got to define the problem that we're all kind of stuck in. I like to call it the upgrade illusion. You know, that constant nagging feeling that the next thing you buy or do will finally be the thing that makes you content.
So really, we're looking at two totally different ways to live. On one side, you've got that familiar treadmill, chasing the next upgrade, packing our schedules till they burst, and just collecting more and more stuff. But on the other side, there's a quieter way, a life that's actually built around simplicity, a steady rhythm, and just intentionally less noise. This is the core conflict we're going to try and untangle.
So, if the problem is this endless cycle of adding more, what on earth is the solution? Let's pivot and talk about the core idea, the whole philosophy behind this approach. It's called the art of subtraction. And look, this is not about depriving yourself or just being a minimalist for the sake of it. The key here, and this is so important, is the intentional removal of things. And that could be physical objects, sure, but it could also be draining habits or that mental clutter we all have. The goal is to create space for mental quiet and real stability. This quote, man, it really just gets to the heart of the whole mindset shift. It completely moves the goalposts for what happiness even is. It's not some future achievement, it's right here, right now. When you start to believe that simply being alive is a fortune, that frantic need for more just kind of fades away.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? It sounds great in theory, right? We're going to break it all down into 3 practical pillars. First up, let's tackle the noise inside our own heads.
Honestly, this one is a total game changer. Grabbing your phone the second you wake up, it's like throwing your brain into a hurricane of comparison, other people's emergencies, and just endless digital noise. But if you protect that first hour, maybe for some quiet thinking or just stretching, you stabilize your dopamine and you set a calm, focused tone for the entire day.
And this same idea applies to cutting down our overall mental load. I mean, think about it. Every tiny little choice we make drains our energy. Simplifying your wardrobe, that's fewer decisions before your day even gets going. Letting go of perfectionism and aiming for good enough, that lets you be consistent, which is way more powerful. And consciously limiting negative news and learning to say no, that's how you protect your mind from being in constant threat detection mode and burning out. Every single one is an act of subtraction.
All right, next up, let's apply this exact same principle of subtraction to our physical world. Because, let's be real, a cluttered space almost always leads to a cluttered mind.
I absolutely love this concept. We usually just, toss our keys on the counter or drop our bags without a second thought. But what this teaches us is that those rough, fast motions actually keep our nervous system in this low-level state of stress. By simply placing objects down gently, a cup of coffee, your shoes, you physically slow your life down and create an internal sense of quiet. It's amazing.
And we can stretch this idea out to our entire homes. Instead of giant, heavy furniture, think flexible spaces. A room could be for sleeping, then exercise, then reading. Swapping out bulky stuff for lighter things literally reduces physical and mental weight. And not making the TV the center of the universe, that actually creates room for boredom, which, by the way, is where creativity comes from. And a simple 5-minute tidy each day, that prevents that weekend feeling of being totally overwhelmed by chaos.
Our third and final pillar is all about the daily habits that control our time and our energy. It's about creating a rhythm for our lives that we can actually sustain.
Oh man, we all know that dreaded afternoon slump. The source material points out that when you digest these huge, heavy meals, it pulls blood away from your brain, so by eating lighter during the day, you keep your energy and your focus way more stable. The day feels longer and clearer, not foggy. You're literally subtracting the slump.
Okay, this one is so crucial in our digital age. We all try to use willpower to control our phone use, but let's be honest, willpower always fails eventually. It's just not reliable. The much smarter approach is to build systems. Use app limits on your phone. Schedule device-free hours. Create intentional times to be offline. Systems work because they take the decision out of the moment, and that protects our most valuable resource, our attention.
So we've covered a lot of ground. Let's pull this all together into a really simple, memorable framework that you can start using like today. It really all comes down to this: 4 simple steps. First, you identify and remove what adds noise to your life, mentally, physically, and digitally. Second, you keep only what supports a calm, steady rhythm. Third, and this is key, you focus on repeating these small habits every single day. And fourth, you just have to trust the process. Let that simplicity compound. A calmer life isn't built overnight. It's built through all these small, consistent subtractions. And that brings us to the final and probably the most important question, the one that's just for you. Because this isn't just a theory, it's something you do. So if you look at your day, your space, your mind, what is one small thing, just one, that you can subtract today to bring in a little more quiet?